Hello, thank you for joining this tutorial today. This is Artful with Michelle. Today we're going to paint tulips in the sunshine, and we're going to use an 8 by 8 inch primed and stretched canvas. My brushes will be a 1/2 inch flat, 1/4 inch flat, number 6 round, and this number 4 round. If I add any other brushes, I will call them out in the video and put them in the description below as well. So we're going to be using some student grade acrylics today, and these are the colors that I'm going to be using. So we have burnt umber, black, deep red, phthalo red, raw sienna, deep yellow, chrome yellow, green oxide, and white. Alright, I have a brush basin and a paper towel handy. I might end up using some of these fluorescents at the very end, but I will let you know. So this is Liqiutex Basics acrylic, and it's fluorescent pink and fluorescent green. And I might use that toward the end to kind of pop some of the tulip petals and leaves. We'll see how we feel when we get there. So I'm going to start with my largest brush, which today is just a 1/2 inch flat. I'm going to wet it in my water, touch it on my paper towel. And I'm just going to start with a bright area in the middle, and I'm going to, like a white bright area, and I'm going to go around and around with yellows, and we'll have some grasses at the bottom. So I'm going to grab some white, and I'm just going to start brushing it in a circular motion. Okay, and then I'm going to dip into my chrome yellow, which is a very bright yellow. And again, I recommend just using your favorite paints. You might like tube acrylics, you might like liquid, you know, and I encourage you to explore different types and see what you like the best. Okay, so I am brushing that yellow gently into the white, just so I'll have a nice blend where the colors meet. Okay. Alright, it looks a lot brighter on camera. It looks more like a chartreuse, but it really is just a bright yellow. Then I'm going to dip right into the deep yellow, and I'm going to start brushing that around the bright yellow, the chrome yellow. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go around, and I'm going to brush it into the brighter chrome yellow just to get a soft blend. I don't want to see like a stripe. I don't want to necessarily know where one color ended and the other began. And I'm going to go ahead and take this all the way to the edges. I'm going to add one more color to this mix in a moment. These little 8 by 8 inch canvases are so cute, and they work up quickly. If you need a quick gift, or you need just a little, just something cute, a little accent where you don't have a lot of room for a large painting, these are so much fun. Okay, so that's blended pretty nicely. I'm going to wipe my brush on a towel. I want to put a little bit more white right here. And I'm going to blend it into my yellow a little bit. I like to do this while it's wet. Once acrylics are dry, you can't blend them anymore. You can just dry brush them, or you can add more paint. But once they're dry, you're not able to move them. Okay, so I'm going to let that set up. So I'm going to just keep moving those colors, like blending with my brush and moving like outward and inward on the circle till I get a blend that I'm really happy with. And I want the white to be a little bit brighter in the middle. Okay, now I'm going to dip into the raw sienna. I'm going to get that on the outside. I grab some deep yellow for blending. this a little bit. Sometimes if you want to add more color with acrylics, you need to let it sit for a couple of minutes and start to dry a little bit. Otherwise, you're just moving the paint around. And if you mess with it too long, you can create kind of like a bald spot where the paint just won't stick. So you do have to kind of let it set up sometimes. And the more you paint, the more you'll get used to that. So I'm trying to keep these brush strokes in the corners even kind of rounded. All right. So I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so take a moment to blow dry that, and then we'll move on to the grass. Okay, so this is all dry, and I did say we'd go with the grass, but I think I'm going to start with some tulips and then add the grasses in after the flowers are in. So I want to start with a dark background on my flowers and then build forward with lighter on the petals as we go. So I'm using my 1/4 inch flat brush, wetting it, touching it on my paper towel, and I'm actually going to start kind of deep. So I'm going to take my deep red and a little bit of burnt umber, and I'm going to make a burgundy. You can even put a little bit of black too. Be careful and, you know, stop before it gets too dark. And I'm just going to come in and just create some tulips, and I'm going to make them very, very sort of undefined, if that makes sense, maybe a little bit rustic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my brush, and I'm just going to move my hand. I won't be rotating the brush at all, and I'm just going to create some little background shapes. So I'm going to have some like this, and I definitely need more paint on my brush. Okay, and I'm going to close the top up a little bit. All right. I want that to be deeper in the back. And then I'm going to make another one here. Grab a little bit more. And maybe we'll do about 5. I don't know. I'll just see what comes off the brush as we go. I'm not worried about it being super solid because we are going to put some layers on it. So there's a cluster of 3, and then I think I'll do 2 more over here. Let's see, I'm going to 1, 2, 3, and then maybe in going with the shape of the sun, I'll put one that way, and maybe just a little one over here. And we'll see how we like that. Okay, so those are going to set up very quickly. And I'm going to go right into, I'm going to take the dirty brush now, and I'm going to go straight into just the deep red. And I'm going to put a little bit of just the deep red, and some of the strokes I'm going to let go outside the tulip shape. And then I'm going to let them dry a little, and we'll come back and work on them some more. Okay, so this one is going to work up very quickly for you. We're going to start now with some green. So I want to make the back petals really dark. So I'm going to take some green oxide and some burnt umber, and I'm going to make a nice dark mossy green. And what I'm going to do is turn the brush sideways, and I'm just going to come down and make some stems. And it's okay for them to crisscross. And then over here, I'm going to bring this one down behind that one, and then this one this way. I need more paint on my brush. Okay. All right. So while those areas are drying, I'm going to go ahead and get more of the green and brown mix. And I'm just going to start creating some grasses. This flat brush that I picked is not in the condition I would like it to be. I'm just going to use the bigger one. Okay. If you're going to use a flat brush for this, you have to make sure it comes to a nice chisel edge. Okay, nice and formed there. And you can help keep your brushes that way by not allowing the paint to get dried and get down in the ferrule. It's really important to try to clean them properly after each use. I know if you paint a lot, it's kind of hard sometimes. It's hard for me to discipline myself to go and do that, but it really will make a difference in the life of your brushes. So I'm just going to hold this straight, and I want more brown and maybe just a tinge of black, because I do want that to be dark, and I like to let some of the grasses come in taller, and do make them uneven. Okay, this is just nature. And turn some to the side. Dot there. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to come in at the bottom like this too, and just use the brush to deepen that area. I'm going to use a little bit of burnt umber and black. And I'm just going to brush, and I'm letting the brush sort of come off the canvas while I'm in the middle of the stroke, so that it just kind of fades. Okay, so that's burnt umber plus black. All right. And then I would take this color all the way underneath, unless you want to put, you know, black all around your edges. All right. So I'm going to go back to the small flat. I'm going to grab another one. Okay. Okay, this has a much better edge, and I'm going to come in with a little bit of the Phthalo Red, which is a pink color, and take a little bit of that on my brush, and I'm going to take a little bit of white with it, and I'm going to come in and put some lighter color, and I'm going to let the darker color in the back show through. So I'm going to grab a little bit more of the Phthalo Red, which is a really nice pink, and I'm going to do the same thing on this one, on all of them actually. So I'm doing a much lighter, more narrow stroke so that the background can show through. Okay, we definitely want to have the darker color showing. That's what's going to give us a little bit of dimension there. And let's see, get a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to do that on all of them. We'll keep coming in with more and more light color. I do like to let some of the petals stick out. Now, I think these are turning into chrysanthemums. I'm letting them get wide rather than stay in a tulip shape. That's what I love about painting. You know, you might have a certain vision, but then as you're painting it, it can easily turn into something else. So I'm going to make this one come in a little bit more. Okay. And this one too. Okay. So a little bit more Phthalo Red plus white. I'm going to build that in layers, okay? Okay, I'm being very, very loose with these. Okay, get that brush cleaned. So while the flowers are setting up, I'm just going to come in now and work on the grass a little bit. So I want to take some of my green oxide and maybe just a little white just to help make that a little bit more opaque. And I'm just going to come in with a few blades of grass in that color. But if you follow me, you know that lime green is my favorite. And I'm going to go ahead and mix some of that up too. Alright, so now I'm going to just wipe the brush, and I'm going to take some chrome yellow and just a little green. I like to start with a puddle of the yellow because the green will take over this color really fast. But if you like the lime green, start with lots of yellow, a little bit of green, and then grab some white. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this light color on the side of the stem that's closest to that sun. So I'm going to come in, and yes, I do turn my painting around a lot. Just makes it so much easier to come in from the right direction for your hand. Okay, I keep adding a little bit more white to my brush. So that's, here's one more stem over on this side. I'm going to put some white, and it stops there. See which one was in the front. Actually, this one was in the front, so we're going to lighten it right there. Let's see how that's looking. Okay, and now I'm going to do the same on these that are on the right. I'm going to get some of that yellow and some white, and I'm going to come down the stem on the side that's closest to that sun. Just add a little bit of brightness, and then I'm going to come in. I want chrome yellow and a little bit of white. There's a little green left in my brush. And what I'm going to do is the same thing. I'm going to come and put some in the grass. I'm going to change to the round brush. My number 6 round. And I'm going to get some yellow and green and a little bit of white. And I'm going to come in and add some of that on the tips of the grasses and make them a lot brighter on the side where the sun is coming down. And add a little bit more white on the stems on that side. Just kind of have fun with this. Add a little bit of white on the tips of the grass. Add a little more white. Okay. Every now and then you can clean your brush off or wipe it off. Now I'm just putting some brightness here in some of the grasses. Make sure you leave some darks in there also. I'm going to get some more of that chrome yellow and white. Come in and make some of the grasses down in the dark area a little bit brighter. Will give us some dimension there. Okay. Sometimes it's helpful to stand back, even on a little painting, and just kind of pull it back from yourself and take a look and see what it looks like from a distance. Okay, I'm going to go back to the small flat, looking for the one that had a better edge. All right, here we go. Okay, rinse it out really well. Let's go back to the tulips and grab some of that Phthalo Red, which is a pink again, and white. I'm going to add just a little more white this time to make it even a lighter color. And I'm going to come in and put some more strokes on these flowers. So I'm going to come in like this, add some brighter strokes, and then I'm going to just dip into white with a dirty brush, and I'm going to come in and add just little bits of white also. Okay, so that gives us some dimension because we can still see the darker colors in the background. So I'm come in with some lighter color. So I'm not sure what I'm going to call these flowers. I think they've kind of lost their tulip shape, but they're just fun flowers. Adding just a little more white on the side that's closest to that center of the sun. We can make those just a little bit brighter. And while I'm in this area, I want to make this flower, well, we'll make this one in front, which means this one has to get darker yet, right in through here. So I added some white strokes, but then I decided this one would be in the front. So let's get that a little bit darker again. Maybe just a tad burnt umber. And then we'll come back to that one in a moment. So let's do these two. Again, phthalo red and white. And make some nice loose strokes that do let the back brush stroke show through the petals. And then again, I'm going to dip in the white and I'm going to make these petals brighter. And maybe this one over here where it's picking up the sun. Okay, and the little one, lots of pink, a little bit of white. I love this. So much fun to play with paint. And let's see, let's come in, whoops, wipe that. I got a little bit of yellow and green there, but I like it. And I'm just going to add some white on the sides, the side that's closest to the sun, and I'm going to add maybe a couple little petals. Don't know what these flowers have turned into, but let's just have fun. Okay, a little bit more bright white over here. And just going to keep coming back and adding a little bit more white. Maybe right here it would pick up some light. Okay, now we want to fix this one and bring it forward. So I'm going to take white plus a little bit of the phthalo, heavy on the white, and I'm just going to come in and put those petals in front like this. All right. Come in with more white. Okay. Now I'm going to make some leaves, but I want to deepen that. I just really want to deepen that a little bit, that area where that flower tucks behind. So I'm going to come in. It's a little bit wet, so okay. I'll let that dry a little and we'll see I might feel like coming back in and putting in some more. So I'm going to add a few more here. I'm going back and just adding I'm going to add a little bit of deep red on the undersides that are away from the sun. And here and there. I like that a lot. So a little bit of deep red in my dirty brush. Let's make this one darker right here too. Alright, let's add some leaves, and I'm going to take my green oxide and my burnt umber and my small flat brush, and I'm just going to use it, excuse me, on its corner, and I'm going to pull in some very loose leaves. And then we'll come back in with some brighter color. Okay, I like that. So I'm going to let that dry just a little, and I'm going to look at these flowers. I'm going to add some green here and there under some of them. Okay. This has a lot of paint, so I'm going to clear that off. Okay, so let's get some more of the bright green, which is the chrome yellow with just tiny bit of green in it, and some white. And I'm going to come in and make some other leaves on top of some of the darker ones. Add some white if you want to really pop some of them. Add a little white. More white. So that's what I want to do. I want to come back in with just a little bit of white on the tips of those leaves that would be close to the sun. Give them a little bit of brightness. Come back and add a little bit of white, or white plus a little yellow on your stems on the side of the sun. So just a very simple and fun brush play canvas. Alright, so let's take a look at that. I'm going to come in and just strengthen the white on my flowers just a little bit. I do like the way they look like they're coming forward, but I want a little bit more white. White tends to fade into your background as it dries, so I want to come in and just add more still on that brighter side. Okay, and definitely right here to help pop that one forward. And then let's get out those fluorescents and play with those a little bit. I don't know about you, but I love to paint flowers, and I like to just kind of let myself kind of just go loose with the flowers and have fun. All right. Okay, I really like it. I have this one right here picking up a lot of light and really pulling it in front of the back flower. Let's go ahead and play with these fluorescents. So again, this is the fluorescent pink, And I have way too much paint squirted out on this. I'm going to have to keep painting today. Yay. Alright, so I'm going to take a little bit of that fluorescent pink, and I'm just going to come in and put a little bit, just a very tiny, tiny bit. Whoops, too much white. I was trying to soften my pink. Sometimes things don't always go the way we plan when we paint. We just have to go with it. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to take just a tiny, I'm using this just really in tiny bits, and I'm going to put it up in the area where I feel like they would be brighter from the sun, and I'm just going to add a tiny, tiny bit of that. This is completely optional, of course. Sometimes just the tiniest bit of these super bright colors can really make some things pop. Alright, let's put a little bit on this one. Again, you can see how little I squirted out, and I'm not using much at all. Just going in and adding in a little bit. And some of it I go back in and just cover it with a little white. So if you like that, great, go ahead and add some, and if you'd rather not, it looks really good even without the fluorescent. But seeing I went there, I'm going to go there on the grasses too, and I'm just going to take a little bit of the fluorescent green, and I'm going to hit it here and there. Just barely put any there on the plate. Okay, cap that up. Alright, I'm going to go back to the round brush for this. I'm going to grab some little bits of fluorescent, and I'm just going to add a little bit here and there in the grasses, in the brighter areas. Just a little bit. If you just put a little, it doesn't take over, and it just adds a little bit of splash, so that from a distance, these little splotches help your colors, help to pop it. Just come and add some here and there. And there, sometimes if your paint's wet, you grab some of the other colors and end up moving some of them, and I like that too. Okay, you can have a little bit of green, you know, on your flowers too. You can be reflecting. Alright, so let's take a look at that. Okay. I'm pretty happy with this just as is. You could still, like I say, every video almost, you could always, you can always come back and keep adding more of your white highlight, because as it dries, you're going to notice that it fades. So I suggest, you know, just waiting and then taking a look at it and deciding where you want your brightest brights to be, and then come in and just continue to add them. Okay. Alright, so remember to sign your painting. This would make a great, great gift. Let's soften this white just a little. Alright. Okay, so that's the end of our flowers in the sunshine, and I hope you you enjoyed watching and maybe painted yourself a cute little painting as well. So if you would, go ahead and like the video, if you enjoyed it, and go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit the notifications button so that you will get a notification of my weekly upload. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.